Yeah, we just watched the U.S. men's national team lose 1-0 to a Uruguay team that most American soccer fans had not heard of or been aware of before, Copa started a few weeks ago and we were doing the preparation. It's a really good team, dark horse to win the tournament, but we also got beat by Panama, who advances with a 3-1 win over Bolivia tonight. Man, I was on a Twitter Spaces earlier pregame and it's probably the most notorious like U.S. soccer group of Twitter commentators, influencers, whatever you want to call it. It's a mixture of insider info and kind of the chronically online U.S. soccer takes. And there were about 200 people in that Twitter Spaces. Normally, I'm used to that space being like 30 people tops. And they had me on as a speaker for a little bit, and I put out the comment. I've never felt worse about a U.S. game going into it than this game today, or at least I can't remember. I feel very, very bad. And then when I actually got in there and I was talking about that tweet, I said it's not that the other team is better because we've played better teams before. We played the Netherlands in the last World Cup. We played England. We played, we beat Spain, we beat Italy. Like we've had some really good wins against much better teams, and I always went into those games with a sense of hope. And today I felt no hope. The vibes were off all day. I felt so bad. And then the game happened. I don't know how else to say it, but like, what the fuck was that game?
I watched every second of it, unfortunately. It's ridiculous. In the fact of, in so many ways and facets, right? Like, you have just an absolutely atrocious officiating, maybe the worst I've ever seen in any organization ever. I mean, ever. I have spent a lot of time around travel soccer, kids, teenagers, high school, ref high school soccer. I do play by play for college soccer. Obviously, we do all the MLS matches with Charlotte FC, so we see that. We see USL soccer. We see it, and we see. I mean, we are we're soccer connoisseurs. We watch it all the time.
We're sickos.
We know good, yeah. So we know good refereeing. We know bad refereeing. It's not that's my thing is like I don't want people to just be like, oh well, they just hating on the refs. They don't know. No, if a ref has a good game, we're the first ones to be like, you know what, the refs had a good game. He's kept good control of this game. He was a non-factor. The problem is obviously with MLS, it's a different entity within itself. But when you're playing in a major international intercontinental tournament like Copa America, and you have the the calls, Tyler Adams being stepped on and him receiving a yellow card. You have just foul after foul after foul. You have a foul where a player is getting booked, and in the midst of getting booked, they play on, and he plays advantage, running down the field with the yellow card in his hand, trying to give Uruguay a goal. Christian Pulisic, there's a handball outside of the 18-yard box on Uruguay, and the ball flies out to Christian Pulisic where he's got green grass open in front of him, and instead of playing advantage, he calls it back. And then we all know the offside, the goal that Uruguay actually scored is just it's not it was offsides, and it doesn't matter if you're playing 10 under travel ball or if you're playing in the World Cup final, it's offsides. And the
Yeah.
fact that they actually went to VAR and he sat there and listened to these assistant referees and then still came out with a decision to give Uruguay the goal is
Yeah.
pathetic. It's laughable. With that being said, Luke, the US still was not good enough. The highest rated player for the team for a game in which you had to win You had to win. Regardless if you were banking on Bolivia to draw or beat Panama, it's irrelevant. You had to win this game. And to do that, you have to score goals. And the highest rated player on the field for the United States was Matt Turner, and he just played at a 7, and that's it. Balogun obviously was injured and got destroyed all that first half, played a 5.7. Yunus Musa a 5.8. Weston McKennie a 5.7. Christian Pulisic a 6.0. Just absolutely horrendous attacking. They finished the game with a .57 xG in a game you had to win. It's not good enough. Greg Berhalter has got to go. Whether he does or not, it still remains to be seen. Uh, if I was a betting man, I would bet that he's not going to go anywhere. But it's very evident and obvious this guy is not going to take this group of players any further than he has taken them. When you can't get out of a group with Panama and Bolivia in it, what does that say about World Cup when you may get into a group with England, a Ghana, maybe even a Uruguay?
Spain,
What
Spain,
do you think
Germany.
you have any hope? Yeah, you have any hope of getting out of the group? No. This guy is not going to take this team any further than he's already taken them. We've hit the ceiling with Greg Berhalter. It's indefensible now. There's nothing anybody can tell me. I've seen the Greg Berhalter defenders, and I don't see how there is any. I truly don't. If you want to see this team succeed as much as we do, my son was just sitting in there literally bawling his eyes out at the end of this game,
Oh
and
man.
all I told him was, "Man, I don't know what to tell you, brother." Like I mean, it does suck. It's heartbreaking to sit here and watch a team so talented with the likes of Gio Reyna in the Premier League, Balogun in League Pulisic in Serie A, McKennie in Serie A, Adams in the Premier League, Musa in the Serie A, Robinson and Ream in Premier League, Richards in the Premier League, Scally, Matt
Well,
Turner in the
well,
Premier League.
so I'll share something that was cringeworthy at our American Outlaws watch party. One of the guys brought his kids, and one of the kids is running around with a Inter Miami uh, jersey on and saying, "I'm cheering for Uruguay. I'm cheering for Uruguay. They have Nunez. He's a star. He's the best player on the pitch. I'm cheering for Uruguay. I want the USA to lose." And I was like, "Dude, kid, hey, I know you're like 9 and you don't know any better, but you live in the USA. You need to cheer for the USA. You can like a player on the other team. You can like and respect soccer players without running your mouth like this." And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it was cringeworthy because it was pathetic, but it underlies an issue when you got kids running around in messy jerseys. They don't care about the substance. They care about the flash and the style. They care about the names. They care about these European superstars who are going to be, you know, brands in their own right. And Nunez is a fantastic player. Nunez is better than any player on the U.S. national team. There was a good kernel of truth in what that kid was saying. You know, it
Yeah.
hurts. But this is not a team that has a superstar player. Christian Pulisic, Um, as much as we like him, it's because he's all we got, man. In terms of a name brand, there is nobody on the U.S. team who is actually a true superstar international player.
No,
Not
no,
one.
no, no. No, I agree. There's not a world class type of player outside of on his day Pulisic. And let me just run down this real quick to you, Luke. In the ELO rankings, you have this is Greg Berhalter's resume. Okay, a third ranked at the time, Netherlands in the World Cup got beat 3-1. Brazil just the other day draw 1-1. Six at the time, Colombia, 5-1 loss. Six at the time, or six right now, Uruguay, 1-0 loss. England, draw. Uruguay, draw. Mexico, win. Germany, loss. Mexico, win. Switzerland, loss. Mexico, win. Mexico, loss. Mexico, loss. Chile, draw. Mexico, draw. Mexico, win. Wales, draw. Wales, draw. Iran, win. Ecuador, win. Canada, loss. Japan, loss. Venezuela, loss. These are all teams that were ranked when we did play them in the ELO rank of in the top 30. And outside of Mexico, you have a 1-0 win against Ecuador, a 1-0 win against Iran, and a 3-2, or I'm sorry, yeah, and that's it. That's all you got, man. And
Yeah.
again, we talked about it with Vince on the podcast. With me and you've talked about it. He has not beaten anyone. He has not shown you. That's what I'm saying. This is the ceiling. This is all there is.
The floor the
It doesn't
floor
get
is the
any better.
ceiling. Yeah, the floor is the
It does,
ceiling.
yeah, it doesn't get any better. And then you put on Twitter a few minutes ago, that hypothetically that there might be a recording going on, and Kyle Smith says I disagree with everything that he says. Love you, Kyle, but it's just he says this is probably not worth firing Greg. I don't think you can bring in a big enough name upgrade to manage the national team this late into the cycle, and the United States men's national team needs to have more MLS to make up to it. Players that are experienced in playing in a physical brand of soccer. Now, listen, I do kind of I see a little bit of what you're talking about as far as playing the physical brand of soccer, what yada yada. No, the MLS. I love the MLS. Luke, you love the MLS. We love MLS. This literally what we do. Okay, it's nowhere near as good as the Premier League. It's nowhere near as good as La Liga, Bundesliga. It's nowhere near as good as it's just not, and that's okay, but it's not. So I don't I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Other than the fact of yes, you may have a little bit more physicality in the MLS than you do in other leagues, so you can put up with it. But at the same time, when you're going up against a Darwin Nunez at Liverpool and the likes of Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, where they are playing in those European leagues, and if you throw out a bunch of MLS players out there, yes, it's in the past they've come out with that American grit and stuff, and I've loved that. I love that about the U.S. teams in the past. But we actually have the talent. These aren't players that are just sitting the bench in Europe's top five leagues. These are players who are playing and producing. Jedi Robinson was one of the, if not the best defender in the Premier League last season. Christian Pulisic was one of the best players in Serie A last season. So I don't want to hear that. And then it's probably not worth firing Greg because I don't think you can be dude. Any name, give me any name, brother.
Hey,
I don't
Cole.
care. Give me somebody else. BJ
Cole.
Callahan. I don't care what the name is. It's something different. There has to be a change. There just has to
Yeah.
be.
Well, first of all, let's not take away from our friends over in Tennessee. BJ Callahan is going to Nashville, and I wish them the best. I'm happy for them. I would love to get a BJ69 Nashville jersey. I will rep that proudly when Charlotte FC is not playing. But let me drop this on you from our friends at USMNT Thoughts, and we're going to have Vince back on soon, I'm sure. But the United States, in the history of Copa America, going back over 100 years, and Copa America group stages, which started in 93, so over 30 years, and the United States, for the first time in 20 tournaments hosted at home, the United States becomes the first host country to fail to advance out of their group in Copa America history and in United States tournament hosting history. Both. First host country to fail to advance out of their group. Greg
Yep.
Berhalter, on his PowerPoint presentation, I don't remember if it was the second or the third one, he said he wants to change the way that the world views American soccer. Greg Berhalter is all about nice, sneakers. He's all about the kicks. He's a soccer, you know, coach, but at heart he's really a sneakerhead. But he loves his PowerPoint presentations also, and he says he wants to change the way the world views American soccer. And USMNT Thoughts says, wait, not like that. Yeah, we're setting history. Not only have we failed to accomplish, USMNT Thoughts is saying, not only have we failed to accomplish anything that previous generations haven't done, but we're actively setting negative precedents now and doing historically poorly. Greg Berhalter has to go. His
Yeah, it's
signature,
embarrassing.
his handwriting is all over this team. Now, I got into it a little bit, not a lot. I mean, those that are on the I know we mentioned Twitter a lot, but those that are on MLS Twitter will know Bob V Soccer, the Designated Pundits podcast. He does a lot of MLS betting. So we kind of got into it a little bit. I put out there in the second half. The strategy is all about vibes. The passing is all about vibes. No plans, no strategies, just vibes. And brother, the vibes are bad.
Yep.
That was my take on the game. Now, Bob quote tweeted and said, "Someone hasn't been watching a very good game." My response was, "It's physical and weird, but one or two highlights aside, they look like they have no idea what they're doing out there. They're just shooting the ball around to whoever is there and missing most of the time." Is kind of what I was implying. It's there's no plan. I was in DM saying, it looks like they haven't practiced. What are they like? What have they practiced? What are they doing? Because there is no organization, there's no flow to whatever we're doing. It's a lot of physicality and very little there's no ideas. There's no plan. Like, what are we doing? I was so frustrated. And once again, I say this on a lot of the podcasts. I'm not the tactics guy. I'm not going to pretend to be. I can't dissect and break down film without a lot of time and a lot of rewinding and a lot of note taking. It takes me a long time to break down film. I can't do that intuitively. That's not my thing. I also go based on vibes. Okay, Greg, you and me have that in common, Triple G. Like we both go based on vibes, but the vibes I was getting were very poor. Like there was no plan, is what it seemed like to me. And there were a few really good highlight plays. Okay. But our XG to end the game was zero point 0.5. zero point 0.5 XG. Obviously, there weren't that many good attacking plays. And so Bob responded back, uh, the team has been organized and playing well against a better side. And my simple response was, well, I think we can both agree that one of us hasn't been watching the game.
Yeah, it's not
So
good enough. Regardless of what you say, bro, it's not good enough.
I did
Like,
not see that organization. I did not see any organization. All I saw were misconnections the whole time, like it's a Craigslist page in 2009. Nothing but misconnections. I don't know what's happening here. Cole, I mean, am I crazy? Is Bob right? Like, did the U.S. team look like they went out there and played an organized, good game against a better team, or did we look
so
lost?
yeah, here's my thing is like I know Bob, like he's a good guy. I disagree with him wholeheartedly. Yes, at the beginning of the match, the U.S. came out with fire. They came out with intensity. The problem is Uruguay's not. They're a very well coached team. They know how to match that intensity. A and B. They know how to halt that intensity by
Yeah.
slowing the game down with fouls,
Oh,
with tactical
a
fouls,
lot.
with yes, they know how to do that. So it does listen, when you have to win the game and you have to score and you're going in at the half and and it's still tied 0-0, being compact defensively, being this and being organized in the back and stuff like that, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. And I got something here for Bob that just completely obliterates everything that he was saying. You know who completed the most passes tonight for the United States, Luke?
I would guess maybe Jedi.
Matt Turner.
No, there's no way.
Matt Matt Turner attempted more passes than every one of his midfield or forward teammates in this match
Oh
per
God.
Opta analysis. So, therefore, what are you talking about, Bob? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well
what are you talking about?
organized. Yeah, and
Yeah,
we did
yeah,
not
well
organize
organized.
and like we never organized and played out of the back in a like dedicated way. That was not part of the strategy because we were trying to push forward. So I
Yeah.
completely wow, that's
So two,
insane.
yeah. So two more things. Or actually, I got three quick things, and then if you want to, we can kind of touch on the Houston Dynamo Charlotte FC match and just kind of skim through that. I know it's getting late.
I mean, brother, like I could go on about this for quite a while, and whether it's on here or on a Twitter Spaces, I intend to.
Yeah, no. So I mean, So I don't know if you've seen it, but I just posted it. Christian Pulisic goes up to the referees to shake their hands, and the ref refuses to shake Christian Pulisic's hand. Um, which is just
Hey, let's take a pause. I'm going to go ahead and play this clip. It's a 12-second clip, so maybe we can get some audio on this for the listeners. All right, we have Pulisic walking up to shake the hands. He shakes hands with one referee, and the other one puts his hands behind his back, the center ref. And Pulisic takes that personally. I will say, from what I heard, this was his second international match ever. This was an unqualified referee, is what I heard secondhand. That he second international match that he's ever refereed. So I don't know what to make of that. I've seen. First of all, we talk about poor referee performances all the time. What I do not hear is allegations of match fixing. And after this game, I have seen all over, not only from blank profile picture keyboard warriors, but from actual journalists asking questions about, is this match fixing because of the absurd calls, that VAR decision, the fouls that are going against the US when they are literally crunched or like spikes up into our ankles, and then we get called with a foul or a yellow card. So many, not only incorrect, but like aggressively, viciously, maliciously bad calls, targeting and endangering U.S. players. So I have seen allegations of match fixing. I'm not saying that, but I did find it really suspicious, the odds before the
well,
game going into this, in a game where everybody knows that Uruguay is going to win. Not only that they're the favorite, but the feeling was Uruguay is going to dominate this game, and they were plus 185 when it should have been like a minus 120. The odds were completely off, and like they were wrong to an extent that I was very confused going into this when I saw the betting odds. It didn't seem to make sense to me. So your boy might
yeah.
have made some pocket change, but like that's not the point. Like it was common sense going into the game what was going to happen, and man, the refereeing was borderline negligent by Conemble. Is maybe what I could say about it. But that being said, what I do want to talk about, and this is my most important takeaway from this, is that the U.S. men's national team lacks leadership. Their mentality is weak, and I'm talking about the players. And does
Oh
it
yeah.
start with the coach? Yes, to an extent it does. But we just had um, a veteran player from the 2014 team go on national TV and say, we had a team full of leaders. The people on the team may not have been playing in Europe, but they were team captains. They came in here and we held each other accountable. We fought for the guy next to us, and we had the mentality that we're going to go out against any team and give it our all. And if anybody was slacking, we would drag them up with us and hold them accountable when they fell short. And does this team have any single player who represents that mentality? Any player. Name one. I can't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we,
And
we
I
look
mean,
at we look at
and
this
then
team
you have
tonight. They play in Europe. They're bench warmers in Europe. They're role players, and then sometimes they have moments of brilliance, and sometimes they score goals. But none of them exemplify the leadership that we need in an American team. And with Greg Berhalter at the helm, there is no accountability. The players love him because he's their friend, and he's not going to hold them accountable. He's going to
well,
make
yeah,
them
and
feel good and give them a hug. Is that what we need with the U.S. national team heading into a World Cup? And I disagree with Kyle also, because Kyle says it's too late in the cycle to change coaches. Too late. Says who? Who says it is too late to change coaches? We have 2 years left, and we need to take those 2 years to fortify and strengthen and develop and train this team with the mentality and the physicality that our nation and our soccer fans and the growth of this game in the United States deserve.
what you're talking about in the post game press conference, Matt Turner when he was talking about the elimination of and the direction that they were headed, that the men's national team was heading. He literally said, "quote I see no issue with the direction we're heading." End quote. That's what Matt Turner said. You don't see you don't see a problem with not getting out of the group with Panama and Bolivia. You don't see a problem with that. That goes back to that. It's like these players are all complacent. They know they got the they're locked. They know that they are in a lot. I mean, you listen. We Christian Pulisic we know is not going anywhere. Balogun's not going anywhere. Gio Reyna's not going anywhere, and they know that.
Weston McKinney,
They know, hey
dude.
man,
Weston McKinney said, "Yeah, we don't feel any additional pressure for this game." Greg Berhalter said it in the press conference and didn't even like make Christian Pulisic answer the question from the Connemble media about, "Do you feel any extra pressure playing for Greg Berhalter's job?" And Greg Berhalter answers it and says, "Oh no, we don't feel any additional pressure." And Pulisic just sat there and didn't answer because he didn't have to because
yeah, and then
Greg took it for
he
him.
was literally asked. Berhalter was asked in his post game press conference just now, "Is he still the man for the job?" And he said yes. Which of course he's going to say that he don't want to lose his job, but I just where is you got to be able to back this up,
They
man.
are so
At a certain
entitled.
Yeah, like at a certain point, you have to be able to back up what you're saying. And I'm sorry, but you got into the World Cup in 2022 off of goal difference. That's how you got into the World Cup with these same players.
Yeah.
You went to the World Cup, you drew Wales, and you beat Iran 1-0 to be able to even get out of your group. And you hang your hat on a draw against England, then you go to the round of 16 against the Netherlands, and you don't just get beat. You got drummed 3-1, and
Well,
honestly, two of the
well,
goals.
it wasn't because they were more talented. It's because we got out coached start to finish. Their coach in the
Yeah,
post
the
game press
substitution.
conference laughed at our coaching and our tactics, laughed at us because the Netherlands are a serious footballing country. Oh my god,
Yeah,
I can't
and
even.
it's the same thing as tonight. This is what dude, my son's 10 years old, so keep in mind I'm talking to a 10-year-old. But this is what I'm telling my son. We're at the 70th minute. Okay, we're at the 70th minute, and we are down 1-0. And Greg Berhalter still has not made an offensive substitution in the 70th minute. He didn't bring on Josh Sargent till the 72nd minute. He didn't bring on Haji Wright until the 79th minute. He didn't bring these
Mm.
players on until you had 10 minutes left. What is there? There's nothing more to talk about. That is nothing that yes, the players have to play, and the players that are playing have to be able to. There was no creativity in the midfield. There was no link up play. And yes, Greg Berhalter cannot do it for them. I understand that. But what I'm saying is when you need a goal, and then you need two goals, and then you still and you wait until the 72nd minute and the 79th minute to make an attacking substitution? Who is that on? It's only on one person. It's ridiculous that we're still having to sit here and talk about this guy as the head coach of the United States. It's it's asinine. It's laughable at this point. We are not a serious soccer nation. We are not serious. If we were serious, if this federation was serious about this team and about 2026, the most important few years for the United States when it comes to soccer, not just from a national team perspective, but from an actual domestic league perspective as well, to draw in fans to the MLS, to draw in fans to USL, to draw in fans to NWSL. This is how you do it through the national team, and we're treating it as this if it's just it doesn't matter. We're treating it as such as as he's our friend, as this is the good old boy system. It's not. We need a change. We need a shake up. These players are complacent. The coach is clueless.
This episode of the Queen City Soccer Show is brought to you by SeatGeek. The summer is heating up, and so are all of your favorite events, whether that is soccer or baseball or concerts, you name it. SeatGeek has you covered. Ready to check out Copa America this summer? Go to SeatGeek.com and enter the promo code QCSPod at checkout for $20 off your ticket. SeatGeek.com, promo code QCSPod. Queen City Soccer Show is also brought to you by Level Up Home Consultants. When you are ready to level up your home, visit leveluphc.com. That's leveluphc.com. School's going to be starting up soon, and if you want to upsize, downsize, maybe you're going through a major life change like a marriage or a divorce, maybe you need to relocate. Maybe you're going to be moving to Charlotte, and you're using this podcast to help you learn about our soccer culture. But more importantly, you need to find somewhere to live. Charlotte is filling up. We have 30, 35 people per day moving to Charlotte. So it's more important than ever to work with a trusted expert, somebody who knows the market, who can get you the best deal and help you find the perfect next home. Reach out now for a free market analysis to sell your home and to get a home buying game plan together. Every home buying journey is different. Contact Level Up Home Consultants today for your free consultation. A portion of the proceeds from any real estate transaction will go to nonprofit youth soccer causes in the Carolinas when you mention QCS Pod. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram at Level Up Home Consultants. Hashtag Level Up Your Home. A broken clock is right twice a day, and Alexi Lawless had something to say. Let's take a listen. And Cole, we're gonna copy our friend Danny Brams and do a little dissecting the press conference, dissecting the post game analysis of Alexi Lawless here.
You talked about learning from losing, okay? I think what we have learned over these cycles is that this team is not able to do anything better than is done in the past.
So, we talk about learning from losses. And this far into the Greg Berhalter tenure, what have we learned from our losses? We suck. I mean,
I think Lexi hits the nail on the head, and he said it hurts, and that's what it's like watching this team play, because what they're capable of, but it just hurts.
Yeah.
To say, because that was not what was promised and not what for many we believed was going to happen with this team.
Pause. That's not what we
That's
were
not what we
promised and not what we believe would happen. So let me talk to y'all a little bit about sales, right? Okay, because I do real estate, and real estate to me is all about relationships and communication. Am I the best at either of those things in my personal life? Not necessarily. But whether you're talking about real estate or personal life or any other relationship, the number one thing you can do to avoid miscommunication and problems down the road is to communicate your expectations up front. And our expectations are that we would be competitive with the best in the world, that we would redefine American soccer, that we would show the world that we are a serious footballing country. Have we done that?
We know the answer to that.
In any way, shape, or form. Devil's advocate. We just fielded our starting 11 with all players from the top 5 leagues in the world. We're redefining what it means to be a USMNT player. You play for a top 5 league in the world. We're a nation of 340 million people with some of the best athletes, the most Olympic medals, the most Olympic gold medals, the NFL, the NBA, MLB. We have the greatest sports leagues in the world. Asterix, Premier League, maybe. But we have tremendous athletes. But we're going to define our greatness by what we send off to Europe to their top 5 leagues, purely based on their talent level and not based upon the system they play in or what defines our style of play or what defines being an American soccer player. We've gotten rid of a lot of the history. Our expectation was that with Christian Pulisic, that he would be scoring goals left and right, that he'd be the next Pele. I mean, that obviously talent wise is not going to happen. He's not going to be the next Maradona, but he could be ours. And he's playing in Italy. He's doing great. But like for the U.S. men's national team, he's not doing a whole lot. And the cast
Well,
surrounding him.
I want to say, Vince, when we had him on, he hit the nail on the head with Christian. He has looked very, very good for the U.S. when he's playing against CONCACAF competition
Yeah.
in the Gold Cup, in the Nations League. But
The
anytime
Martiniques
we
of the
play
world.
against, yes, anytime we play against a bigger team, a better team, he disappears, and he disappeared tonight, and the ratings show it. And if you just watch the game, you've seen the horrible touches. Pepe had a beautiful chance in the box, and where an open net, and just doesn't
Yeah.
shoot and turns
Yeah.
around and look for somebody. It's like they don't want the moment. It's like the moment is too big for them.
Yeah.
Just a second, Luke. Gio Reyna just said this quote: "I don't think this tournament really had anything to do with the staff or the tactics or the way we play.
Oh my
I think it
God.
was more individual mistakes. The staff can only do so much at the end of the day. The
Yeah.
players didn't do enough to go through."
Yeah, and I agree. Honestly, I'm at the point now where I'm thinking, all right, change the coaching staff, change the US soccer staff, and honestly, make these players earn their fucking jersey because I'm sick of it.
Yep.
I am
Yep.
sick of it. Gio Reyna, man, I know your parents must be loving this development for the drama of it, but sit your ass down on the bench. Christian Pulisic, Captain America, sit your ass on the bench. Florian Balogun, you're new. I'm going to give you a pass. But the rest of you guys, what have you done to earn your jersey? These MLS guys coming up look so much more talented, and they look like they want it. They look like they're going to fight for it. Tim Ream, you're at the tail end of your career, man. I cannot wait to give you an ovation and see you here in Charlotte. Let's run it back with Charlotte FC. But what are we going to do for this national team, man? Like, we do not have the icons that we've had in previous generations. Nobody is fighting out there. Today, they were physical, they were athletic, they were gifted, they wanted it, but nobody stepped up and earned it. Nobody, nobody impressed me in the way that
Dude,
I
I was gonna
need to be
I was gonna say
impressed.
the only person. Yeah, what I was gonna say is the only person who looked remotely just in
Matt
the zone
Turner.
tonight was Matt Turner had a good game, but I'm talking about attacking wise was Balogun until he was,
Yeah,
but he was beat to death out there,
yeah,
and but you could tell he wanted it. You could tell he was up for it. You could tell he was physically ready to rock and roll, and just the ref had a lot to do with the fact that he was just absolutely punished, and they just kept getting away with it. So why would you stop?
yeah. Well, I mean, and Balogun, he plays for the U.S., but he is in no way, besides on paper, an American. There is no connective tissue besides he was accidentally born in Brooklyn because his
Yeah.
mother went into labor early and couldn't take a flight back to the UK. Like, he was literally accidentally born in the US, and that's why he can play for our team. But, I mean, hey, great player, a true number nine, whatever it is. Let's listen to some more Alexi because, once again, a broken clock. I shit on him on a regular basis, but I think he has a lot to say here.
If this is as good as it gets, it's not good enough. And there's plenty of excuses, but they don't matter. You can talk about opportunities. Well, we have players that are playing all over the world. Talk about playing in Europe. Well, the entire team that you saw out there plays in Europe, so it's not MLS's fault. You can talk about, the pathways and the resources that they have. No generation has been given more. And yet this generation hasn't lived up to that bargain. And when it comes to Greg Berhalter, we heard Stu Holden say it's exactly right. I know there's a sport in firing coaches in all professional sports. And I know the knives are out, and they should be, because this is not good enough from Greg Berhalter. And you have to ask yourself, with 2026 coming barreling down the pike, it's going to come real
Less than
quick.
2 years away.
Pause. This should be said. Media has an outrage industry. Media builds their monetization on clicks and outrage and hatred and hot takes get more clicks and more likes and more engagement than nuanced, well thought out pieces. There is an outrage industry in sports, and we see it, I mean, all the way up to the Premier League, where the average tenure of a coach has continued to drop year over year for the last like 30 years. Something absurd, with very few exceptions, because there is more outrage, there is more attention, and statistically, a coaching change gives you a little bump in some of your numbers. That
Yeah.
is not what we're talking about. Greg Berhalter came on the scene in 2019, I believe, and from day one, there have been critics. A lot of the U.S. soccer critics are out here today with their knives out, like Alexi was saying. That is all well and good. What we're talking about is everybody else. I was not one of those people, man. I gave him a fair shot. And I thought after the last World Cup, he should have parted ways, whether, by his decision or US Soccer's preferably decision. And then the days of our lives with the Reina family and the internal investigation and the outward facing coaching search, which they described as we fed the criteria from the past cycle into an algorithm to determine the best possible coach moving forward. And when you base an algorithm on one person's results, who do you think it's going to tell you is the right person for the job? What an
Yeah.
absurdly stupid thing, not only to do, but to tell the public that you did, as if they are fools. And United States soccer thinks that we are fools. They think
Yeah.
that we are not watching. They think that we don't know ball. They think that we are too stupid to know what is right in front of our eyes, Cole.
Yeah.
There's an
Yeah.
outrage
I mean, that's the only
industry.
way. Yeah. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. I mean, you know, I, I'm just truly at a loss for words. I mean, I really am, and um, I do think this just real quick. Carly Lloyd. Speaking of the women's national team has a lot of history, a lot of championships, a lot of World Cups, and Carly Lloyd just said, "quote We won championships and we hated our coaches. I question if the players are too comfortable in that locker room over there."
We've been saying it. Do you want your best friend in charge of your success? Somebody who's going to be gassing you up all the time, patting you on the back, or do you want somebody who is going to make you grind and fight for it and bring out the best possible competitor in you? I mean,
So
I don't
you're
know. Are you a
so
baller?
you are a Alabama Crimson Tide fan who
Roll
had
Tide.
arguably, well, not arguably, the most decorated head coach in all of college football history,
Yeah.
and people hated him. Some players hated him. Some players loved him. But one thing about Nick Saban that you cannot get away from is he did not accept complacency. There's a difference in accepting mediocrity. There's a difference in accepting, look, if you're doing the best you can, if you're at your peak and you're doing the best you can, and it's just not good enough, then that's one thing. But when that's mediocrity, we're not going to celebrate it. We're going to work
Oh,
on it. But
preach, brother. Go off.
But when you have a higher ceiling, that's celebrating and tolerating complacency. And that's something that Nick Saban and great coaches do not accept. Even great players like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they they didn't accept complacency for themselves. They didn't accept it for the ones around them. If you watch The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, they don't accept complacency. If it doesn't matter, as soon as Nick Saban won a national championship, what was the night that they'd win the national championship? That night, that man would be on TV talking about, "Yep, we'll enjoy this tonight, but tomorrow we get back to it." Because if you don't, you get complacent. Hey, man, you know what? We won the national championship last year. We can have a year where we just chill out. That's the mentality of this team and this coach who hasn't won anything.
Oh man. Well, we talked about that, and after the last game, the Panama game, uh, was it McKinney or Weah? I think it might have been Weah. Was spotted at a hookah lounge right after the game. Like, hey,
Get him out of here, bro. You just cost this. You cost your team and your brothers a game. Dude, I'm telling you, if I was the coach, I'd be like, get your shit and go. You're done, bro. You ain't coming back to this team. I know you're one of our best players. Irrelevant, brother. Take your ass back on to Italy. Have fun with your club ball, and you better hope to God there is a new coach, because if I'm still the coach here, you ain't coming back.
hey, from that pregame Twitter Spaces, we're Badge FC, bro. Our players play for the best badges in the game. We're in the top 5 leagues, brother. We got the biggest clubs. We got the biggest badges.
Yeah, I
Badge
don't care, man.
FC.
I don't care. I seen something earlier that said that Weston yeah, it said that Gio Reyna is just a faster Justin Miram. And I'm telling you right now, dude, I'm telling you right now,
Too much credit.
soccer, soccer is a great sport, man. And the technically gifted, great players usually come on top, but as an individual. But
Yeah.
teams like we've had in the past that have been completely made up of MLS players. Like, look at the 2014 World Cup when you're in the group of death with Ghana, with Germany, with a Cristiano Ronaldo in Portugal, and they get out of the group of death, and then they go to play Belgium in the quarters or in the round of 16, and literally have an opportunity to win that game if it wasn't for Chris Wondolowski skying a ball.
Yeah.
But they were all Major League Soccer players. Every single one of them on that pitch. Everyone who scored for that team, Clint Dempsey, Jermaine Jones, they played in the MLS. How were they doing it? How did they do it? It's because of how they played as a team and how they played and how they. I don't care
Well,
if
well,
we're
and
up for the
circling
fight.
Cole, circling back, it was their mentality because in
Yeah,
MLS, especially at that time, they had to fight for every single thing they got, and they were still underappreciated. They were still underpaid.
yep.
They were still not respected, and they had to fight every single day. And this
They
newest
had that
crop,
chip on
the
their
guys
shoulder.
playing in Europe, they don't have a chip on their shoulder. They're told, "Oh, you're amazing. You play for a top 5 league. You're incredible. Here's the badge. You don't have to earn it. Here's the crest of the United States. You can have it. You can have it. You don't have to earn it." It's pathetic. But what I want to say is this is my biggest hot take here. You need somebody who can shake things up. You need somebody to go into training camp and show them exactly how far they have to go. And there was somebody who did that for Charlotte FC coming into the season with a new coach.
Yeah.
Once again,
I want to put a little bit of context on the referee not shaking Christian Pulisic's hand. Um, Christian Pulisic had just found a clip where he's walking over before he walks gets to the refs. He looks at all of them. He says, "Hey, y'all go celebrate with Uruguay. Y'all go celebrate with Uruguay." So, I mean, I
well,
can
he
understand the
was
ref not
going.
wanting to.
Yeah, he was going off on the ref during the game too. He was doing everything up to, but not actually physically pushing and like assaulting the ref. He was really getting in his
Well,
face.
and a lot of it is warranted, man. I'll be honest with
Yeah.
you. A lot of it was warranted. I mean, but
Well, let's listen to the rest of the clip real quick.
To be embarrassed, and we can't afford to arrive in the summer of 26 with a team that has not progressed, that has not evolved, and has not improved. And I'm sure if Greg Berhalter was here, he would say, "Oh, but you don't see what's happening inside." I don't give a crap what is happening inside. I don't care about the dynamic. I
boom.
don't
Hey,
care how.
pause.
Yep.
127. He said, Alessi Lala said, "Well, I'm sure if Berhalter was here, he'd say, well, y'all don't get a look inside of what's going on inside." And Alexi, bless him, he hits the nail on the
Correctly.
head again. I don't give
Yeah.
a crap what's going on inside. So I'm ready to play. I just wanted to hit that real quick.
Well, I mean, hey, let's talk about that. Does it matter what's happening inside the program if not only the results on the field, but the style of play and the mentality on
Look,
the
man.
field don't reflect what you're telling me? Do you think I'm
Yeah.
stupid, Greg Berhalter? You're going to tell me,
Well,
you're going to piss on my leg and tell me it's raining, Greg Berhalter. Like, do you think that we are stupid? We can see the results. We can see what they're doing on the pitch. Your job is to prepare them and get them ready and show us what you're doing, right? Like, am I wrong?
Yep.
All
No,
right,
see, and
three.
that's the same thing. Hold,
Go
hold on
ahead.
one second. It's the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing with Christian. It's the same thing with Christian Latanzio last season, dude. And if you're listening to this and you're more than likely a Charlotte FC supporter, so you'll understand this. How many times did not the same exact quote, but a similar thing that Christian Latanzio would say, and I would always say the same thing back then. This is a results-based business. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what's going on behind the scenes. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter what sport it is. If it's NFL, college football, NBA, it does not matter. It doesn't matter if everybody loves you. If these players, they call you and talk to you till 3 o'clock in the morning and tell you how much they love you. If you're not getting the results, that's it.
This is a business, my friend.
Exactly.
And the World Cup is the biggest business of them all, and it is barreling
Yeah.
down the pipe, coming right at us. And Alexi's right.
Man,
We need to be
and none of
prepared.
this is, and none of this is personal, man. It's not like I think Greg Berhalter is a horrible human being. What I'm saying is this is a results-based business. You're not getting the results, but at the end of the day, it is that in itself. It is a business. If I'm a firefighter, bro. If guess what? If we had a fire and there was two people trapped inside, and I got to the front door and I turned around, looked at my captain, and was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just really not. I'm not up to it, man. I don't know. They're gonna take me back to the station. They're gonna say, leave your gear out here. You hit the door, brother. And if you're a real estate agent,
Yeah.
if you were going to sell a house and you got there and the person was willing to put an offer in on the house and you're just like, you know what, I really actually I need to go back to the house, man, and I want to just go chill out for the day. You're not putting food on the table, therefore you're not getting the results the best that's going to benefit you. And it's just the same. It's the same with this. You're not getting the results. Time to hit the road.
Yeah. Only thing I'll say is, as a real estate agent, I'm more of the coach, so I have to prepare and coach my clients into making the best decisions. But yeah, I completely agree with your point. Like I never make the decision for them, but my job is to put them in the best position to make their own decision.
Much your players love you. I don't care how kumbaya it is. All I care about is I see a U.S. men's national team that is better than before. And we haven't seen that, and that's a problem going forward.
Is that on the players? Is that on the manager? Is that on the federation? Where are we saying you need to be better?
Pause.
Well,
We're watching a Fox broadcast. This is the organization that has bid and won from the U.S. Soccer Federation the rights to broadcast their media. This is going to be the friendliest media broadcast that you ever watch. And we know that from watching the Qatar World Cup, how they were fawning and overly friendly to everything that had to do with FIFA because they bid and won those media rights. And there are certain obligations of, favored nation status that go along with that. But we're watching this and they're asking, is it the players? Is it the coach? Is it the federation that is responsible? So the fact that we're having this conversation live on air on Fox, I sense that there are conversations happening behind the scenes that are influencing this. And we talked in the pregame show, there is pressure and there are conversations coming from the sponsors. Okay. The sponsors of US soccer and the World Cup. And those conversations will have an impact on if and when the decision happens on the future of U.S. soccer. Your Coca-Colas, right? Your Home Depots, your big national sponsors, the Heinekens for the Champions League, like whoever the sponsors are, they wield an outsized amount of influence if they choose to wield it because they're
Yep.
sponsoring not only a sporting event, but a commodity. And that commodity is their brand. They take it very seriously. So as long as it's entertaining, as long as it's good TV, they benefit. But if you're going to sponsor the USA soccer in the World Cup and you're being promised that the USA is going to host the World Cup and make it out of the group stage, and that your sponsorship will reach, X number of hundreds of millions, if not billions of eyes, and now you're looking at this and thinking, we might be a laughing stock. Are you going to want to make
Yeah.
a
And
change?
so, breaking news. So, breaking news: the United States Soccer Federation director Matt Crocker just quoted or just put out a statement. You ready for this, Luke?
Uh, no, but go ahead.
Okay, he just said, "quote Our tournament performance fell short of our expectations. We must do better. We will be conducting a comprehensive review of our performance in Copa America
Oh
and
my
how
God.
best to improve the team and results as we look towards the 2026 World Cup." End quote.
Okay. All right. So, God, live immediate reaction from me. That's insane because what I'm hearing is no vote of confidence in Greg Berhalter. If they were going to give a vote of confidence, that would have been the statement to do it, right?
Yep, I agree.
And there is
And
no vote of
that's
confidence.
the yeah, that's the overwhelming sentiment as well on Twitter at the moment,
Oh my
and
God.
that everybody's like he's gone, he's gone, he's gone, and I mean I'd have to agree. My reaction as well. I agree with you 1,000%. If you're gonna back him, that's when you do it. Hey, look, Greg Berhalter, this is gonna be our guy. This is it. But I think, dude, the rumblings were loud after the World Cup. The rumblings
Yeah.
now are deafening.
So, all right, let me throw this out there, like context. Greg Berhalter was hired because he was cheap and low risk, right? So you pay him significantly less in a period when the U.S. Federation is bleeding money and just getting its media rights deal under its feet, where it can start to establish a revenue stream again. You're reinventing your sponsorship deals. You're reinventing your entire business model because, like, we compare ourselves to England. England has an FA that's been here for 130, 140 years and they have a very well established revenue streams, both like internal and external. We had none of that. And we had completely screwed up media rights deals from the 90s, the early 2000s, that were hanging over our head like an albatross. So MLS is completely tied into this because U.S. Soccer Federation actually gave its media rights to MLS and allowed Major League Soccer to market on behalf of the U.S. Soccer Federation for decades, I believe. MLS was in really bad shape, but they actually survived because of the media rights deals. And that breakup between the two groups and the formation of new media entities, I know this is getting way down the rabbit hole, is part of why the U.S. Open Cup has started to fall apart. And we talked about that on our U.S. Open Cup preview show. So U.S. soccer is just starting to get their shit together. They've greenlit a new soccer headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, where before it was kind of decentralized out of Chicago, New York City, some other locations. It's starting to all come under one roof and start. They're trying to get their act together, and I think the 2026 World Cup is a bright beacon that they're aiming for to really push their funding to the next level. Paying extra millions and millions of dollars a year for a U.S. soccer head coach was never in the cards, and so in bringing Berhalter back, my theory, my conspiracy theory was, well, he's the cheap option so you bring him back, you pay him peanuts essentially, and if you need to let him go after Copa, you can, and you still have enough time to reset with a premier level coach before the World Cup. And you can leverage a failure in performance against your sponsors and say, all right, Coca Cola, all right, Michelob Ultra, I need you guys to give us a few $100 million to revamp the program ahead of the World Cup and bring in a world class level coach. And do you know who's been seen in the United States in the last like 2 weeks?
I do.
Pep
He's
Guardiola.
in Montana right now as we speak.
I was about to drop that one last, but yeah, no. Several world class coaches are in the United States right now, and I don't track private jets or their serial numbers, but boy, I kind of wish I was in on that cottage industry because there are going to be some breaking news stories in the next few weeks. I think. Yeah, man, Jurgen Klopp coming off of Liverpool, right? Pep Guardiola coming off of Man City. I've been saying I would love Klopp, and my friends who were saying Klopp, like his personality is perfect because he's a player's coach, but he's also a fucking genius. Pep Guardiola, I think, is the best fit. I think he is a commercial home run. And if the sponsors have anything to say, I think you're going to get him because that dude could be on commercials tomorrow, regardless of the language. He's like a Messi. You bring him in, he's an instant game changer. Klopp, I think, is a little bit of an acquired taste, but I think Pep, he's plug and play. And if you give Pep like $20 million to chill out for a year, or 20 million per year for the next few years, you think he's going to say no to that? Everybody sees a return.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. So I say world-class coach, swing for the fences. Because we started with this Alexi thing, let's go ahead and knock it out. We got like 20 seconds left on it.
Players certainly need to be better, you know.
Do you think this generation of players has what it takes? Like, do you think that they have that deep inside of them?
I think there's
All right,
I think there's
Carly.
a couple of them. I think they are better soccer players, but ultimately I don't think that they're better U.S. men's national team players.
Ooh, what? Oh my God! The end of that clip. We were kind of talking about
He
that,
just
right,
hit
Cole?
him. He hit him with the razzle dazzle there.
Ooh, broken clock,
He hit
man.
him with that Kendrick Lamar on Great Crime right there.
Oh my God! He said, minor." Oh my God!
Yeah, he
What
did.
a dinger at the end there. My God. Yeah, no, Alexi, I used to really like him, and I appreciate him for what he is. I think is how I would say it. But I've talked to him. I've had conversations with him, and he seems like a good dude. Like he's the kind of guy you want to grab a beer with.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Look, let's just be real. Let's be real. People don't like him. People don't like him because he's a Trump supporter, and he's also got very, very, very outlandish takes, and he doesn't hold back. And again, I disagree with Alexi on a lot of stuff, but I agree with him on everything that he just said in this clip.
I mean, this is his moment. This is the moment for don't hold back. Give me your no holds barred take. And he did that. Like he doesn't need to be over the top or crazy. He can just tell you what is right in front of your face right now, and it sounds extreme because it goes against the status quo. Yeah, I mean, Berhalter should not only be out, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's coaching in Saudi Arabia or Qatar next year. Like that dude has no place in Western soccer after this abysmal performance as U.S. men's national team coach. Um, there's simply no place for him in the Western game after this performance. You can be friends with the players all day long, but it doesn't matter if the results are not there. And his results have never been there. He's never shown us any payoff for what he's promised.
And I think he's gone, brother. I think he's gone.
So I think we can cap the U.S. soccer conversation. I told you before we got on I wanted to delay it a little bit because I heard some rumblings. So thank you so much for giving me that breaking news. That honestly made my night. That was the breaking news I was waiting for. I thought that statement was going to drop like 2 hours ago. An hour and a half ago. Man, time flies. So,
Yeah.
Big Cat, Barstool Big Cat, national sports figure here. This is how you know that soccer is making it in the U.S. when you have national sports figures who, 2 years ago never would have ever mentioned soccer are now not only invested, but like, listen to this. Who funds the USMNT? Can they offer $500 million to Klopp? I mean, you
I
have
mean,
mainstream sports personalities. I want to hear Stephen A. Smith. I want to hear Pat McAfee. I want to hear Dan Patrick. I want to hear all of the national sports figures tomorrow talking about what an embarrassment this game was and this performance and this Copa America, and not only holding the coach to account, but calling out the players by name for their complacency because they need to earn the stars and the stripes because right now they are not representing this country. We're a divided, broken country. And if one thing can bring us
yeah,
together and should bring us together, it is sports. And we need a team that will fight wholeheartedly for the
yeah,
crest, for the United
yeah.
States.
And I mean, Greg Berhalter, he's not fit to wear the shirt. The performance tonight, these players were not fit to wear the shirt. The performance against Panama, yes, you're down to 10 men. You're still playing Panama. You're not fit to wear the shirt. It's unacceptable. I mean, there's nothing more to say, man. It's unacceptable. There has to be a change, and it seems that there will be.
All right.
Yeah, and I mean, we do have just real quick. We do have yeah, and so Charlotte FC did go to Houston and got beat 1-0. They do play Inter Miami Wednesday at the Bank of America Stadium. Hope to see y'all there.
All right. All right. This has been the Quinn City Soccer Show instant reaction to the United States men's national team. We'll go ahead and leave it here. You can find us on social media at QCS Pod. That's Twitter. That is TikTok, YouTube, you name it. At QCS Pod _ on Instagram. And I'm Level Up Luke. This is my partner Cole Godfrey. Please give us a 5-star review on social media or on your podcast feed of choice. We would absolutely appreciate that. It would help other people find us. Cole, until next time, it is get us a new men's national team coach.
That's the only thing
Somebody.
that comes to mind for me right now.